Good morning, folks. It is Saturday, May 20th, and it is finally harvest day. And so I am coming over here to get my coffee because I left it over here. And there's some work to be done this morning in the garden, harvesting the rest of my potatoes. 12 containers and half of a raised bed. So stick around, let's see what we get. Cosmo the Wonder Pup is here to supervise and make sure that I don't get attacked by any lizards or squirrels. So I appreciate his company this morning. So here's what has to be done. These 4 containers are all Corolla potatoes. These 2 containers are Caribe potatoes, Baltic Rose potatoes, some more Caribe, and then this little one and this little one were some store-bought potatoes that I think are Yukon Gold. They're a light-skinned, gold-colored potato anyway, so I'm calling them store-bought Yukon Golds. And then back through what are supposed to be dwarf tomatoes. Over there is half of a raised bed. So here's my half of a little raised bed. Remember, I did this other half here in red Norland and had a real nice harvest. These are Yukon Gold. So I've got 3 rows with 4 plants in each row, and we'll see what these look like. But let's give these a tug and see what comes up with them. So these are Yukon Gold. There's the seed potato right there. Get rid of that gross stuff. So, off to a good start, seems like. That felt like it pulled several off of there. Let's see what we find around here. If there's anything in here. There's a nice potato. Another nice sized one. You know, one of the other things that I've been doing while getting ready to pull all of these potatoes today was looking at ways people preserved their harvest. Whether it be by freezing or and so certainly that's something that I'm gonna have to look into, because this will be too many potatoes to have at once, and it's just too warm here to reasonably, we don't have cellars, root cellars or anything like that to store our food in for our harvest. It's pretty funny. It's like every single one of them so far has been producing 4 potatoes. bet I've got 4, 6, 8, 10, 10, 12, 14, 16, well, one extra, 17. So yeah, look at these really, really nice potatoes. I'm very happy with these. Certainly bigger potatoes than the red Norlands. Oh, I missed that one. And you know, this raised bed, putting in potatoes here was really just an afterthought. I initially, I don't know what I was going to put in here, but I ended up with some extra seed potatoes, and I was like, well, I knew I didn't want to do peanuts again, just because it took so long to get them to be ready to harvest. And so I had extra seed potato, and I was like, well, I'll just throw this in here and see what it does. And you know, so far it's I think ended up being a good decision. Uh-oh, this one I didn't get much, or maybe they pulled off. Let's see what happened here. Oh, no, there's some in here. There's one. Oh, there's another one. There's a rock. There's one. It's funny, that one plant certainly didn't produce as well. But again, almost all of them are, you know, producing 4 really nice size tubers. While they may not be the most productive, that's still, I got no complaints. Oh, nope, this one produced 5. Wow, look at that one. Look at that, that's a nice one. Nope, there's another one yet. Well, that plant liked where it was. Yeah, I know you wanted to lick all my... If anybody has any secret tips or suggestions for growing potatoes in raised beds, I would love if you would share that. I normally grow in containers, but I've been pleased with what I've gotten out of my raised bed here this season. I think for 12 potato plants, that's not bad. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to do is to pull these 2 containers right here because these were the store-bought potatoes. So I have no idea what they're actually going to produce. You know, everything else that I got was certified organic seed potato that came from Wood Prairie Family Farms. But these were just old potatoes we had that had been in a bag and had sprouted, and I stuck them in some extra containers that I had. But they looked like Yukon Gold, so we'll see what's in here. I'll do the little 5-gallon bucket here first. Well, it grew potatoes. Look at that. So if you have questions about whether or not your store-bought potatoes will actually grow potatoes, there you go. Being in a container, it didn't grow as big, but it grew. Now, the one thing I did notice with these was that they didn't, you know, that one plant there, that one seed clearly didn't do anything. So, again, I don't know if it's gonna, I might have to dump it all out in order to see, because they're just pulling off. But there's potato. See another little one, smaller one anyway. All right, so we had real good luck already with my Yukon Gold. Off to a good start. These 4 containers here are Corolla potatoes. So I am the smaller containers here, I'm going to dump into an empty big tub like this, and I'll move the camera so we can see down. But these big tubs, I'm just gonna dump on the ground. I got some bad soil here that I would like to add a little bit of top fill to, and so I'll just dump them out here on the ground, and we'll do the good old dump and dive method of looking for these in the 2 big containers. All right, so here is the 5-gallon bucket. Well, you gonna help me? You gonna help me find them? Are there any more? Oh, there's one. There's always one. So again, you know, a bunch of little potatoes that I can roast and enjoy that way. But what I've learned so far anyways, in my very brief experience with the Corollas, is that they don't like these smaller containers. So I wonder how they would perform, you know, in a raised bed, something where they had more room, because they just seem to produce a whole lot of small tubers. And these were planted back at the very beginning of February. All right, let me dump the grow bag in there, and we will keep going. Well, off to a good start. It's amazing always to, I mean, just how much drier the grow bag is, you know, because it's so porous. The temperatures, you know, here in Southeast Texas have really jumped, which is, you know, part of the reason now why I'm getting all of these things out. There's just not going to be a whole lot more growth. Most of them dead and or in the process of dying. And so I just figured, let's do it all at once and be done with it, and then move on to all of my southern peas, cow peas, whatever you want to call them. I'm not doing all of those in containers, but I did eat some of these Corollas, or we, my family,
Ate some the other night. We just roasted them, threw a little olive oil on there, a little rosemary, a little bit of onion powder, and they were absolutely delicious. I just don't know how big they're supposed to get, but that wasn't terrible production. So again, that's what came out of the actual grow bag. Watch out, bud. Move. Unless you're gonna pull. Watch out. Well, nice root development. See this, they produce, again, this isn't a giant container, but you know, they seem to like more room. It seems like you get at least slightly larger potatoes in bigger containers. So again, here's some better looking ones. So the production, you know, in my mind, I guess the number of potatoes is good, or the number of tubers is good. And while they are slightly larger here in a bigger container, I guess you wish they were, but again, this is the first time I've ever grown these, so I don't know how big these potatoes get, this particular variety gets to start with. There's what I got out of the blue tub, which is not bad at all, in my opinion. Now, for the big tub. Already one here on top. I don't think we'll get anything to come up with these. Oh, there we go. Bigger container, slightly bigger potatoes. I apologize about the lawnmower in the background, but it is a Saturday morning here in suburbia, so people are doing yard work. Cosmo is sitting there guarding that haul of potatoes very diligently. He's doing a great job. Thank you, bud. I appreciate it. You're being an awesome mascot. But there is the harvest from the big tub. We are on the back side of the mountain. 6 more containers left to harvest. And that'll be a wrap for today. The next ones that I am going to do are Baltic Rose. I gotta harvest them where the containers are because this will be the last season for these containers. They have not held up very well and they are done. And so they're not
in a state where they can be moved. So let me get set up and try to get these done real quick before the camera overheats, because that'll likely be a problem in the sun now. These are Baltic Rose. I don't know where I'm going to put these yet. This is another potato that I've never grown before. It is like the Corolla. It is a German variety, so it's probably better suited to cooler climates than what we have here in Texas. Kind of a rose-colored skin. Curious to see how these would grow in the ground in a raised bed, given how prolific they were in this, at least in this one container. You won't believe this pile of potatoes that I'm going to show you here in a minute. You're not going to believe this pile of potatoes. Right, maybe not quite as productive, but still pretty dang good. That's why I said these tubs are on their last leg. Sitting right here on top. All right, folks, get those picked up and moved. Well, if you're still with me, folks, we've made it to the end. I still have to weigh everything and that kind of stuff, but my last 3 containers. I'm tired already, I'm hot, it's humid, but this is another variety that I've never grown before. These are Caribe. According to the literature, these potatoes are supposed to be pretty well suited for southern climates. and for warmer areas. They're a very fast potato, and I may have let these go too long. I don't know, we'll see here in just a minute. But nonetheless, it's a purple skin potato, but white flesh. So I'm anxious to see what these look like, and even more anxious to see what they taste like. Let's dig into this and see what we got. Well, they're definitely purple skinned. Looks like a double potato. It's a really striking color on the outside. Ooh, that's what I'm talking about. Look at those. I'll take that any day of the week. Very nice, beautiful potatoes. That can't be one of the original seed potatoes, but maybe it is. That joker could be planted again. That's crazy. Huh. Bucket number 2. That was a pretty good pull. Look at that one. Looks like an apple. You can see here on the little table the potatoes that I got from the Caribe. They certainly are really purple. You know, some of them are palm size, some of them are a little bit smaller, you know, but this one is a good size potato, and the interior of them is white and supposed to be kind of creamy. So I'm going to get weights on all of these now. It was a good day. Certainly enjoyed getting these out of the ground. It was hot. I'm going to get a weight on all of these, and I will superimpose that on the screen over the different varieties of potatoes. I've got 4 different varieties here: Caribe, Baltic Rose, Yukon Gold, and then these are the Corolla over here. So thank you for being here with me today watching this. I hope all of your harvests are going great, and you're getting the production that you want out of your garden. You know, what have I learned this year from my different potatoes? I think the old standby red Norland is you know, just really solid. I was really pleased with the Yukon Gold that grew in the raised bed. It grew really nice big potatoes. The Baltic Rose, this was a first. All of these other 3 here, they were all firsts for me. I was a little bit disappointed maybe with the Caribe. I thought maybe I was going to get better production
out of it, but you know, you live and you learn. But the Baltic Rose, these look nice. I like these very, very much. I'd be real curious to see how these do in the ground, if you were to grow them in the ground. And the same thing with the Corolla, you know, because the Corolla that were in the bigger containers produced slightly larger potatoes as opposed to the ones that were in the 5-gallon buckets. And so I'm wondering if they would produce a larger potato if they were in some kind of a raised bed like this. I'm not getting away from my containers. It's still, you know, what I have to do to get all of the different things that I want in the garden to get them all growing. I need containers. But the other thing too that I think is an important lesson, people ask all the time, can I grow potatoes from store-bought potatoes? And I would say that yes, you can. Clearly, I think I showed that with a few of the Yukon Gold having been produced from store-bought potatoes. But the reality is, a lot of times, especially if you don't buy an organic potatoes, those potatoes are sprayed with different kinds of chemicals to inhibit their sprouting and to slow them down, and maybe even keep them from sprouting. I would still say you are better off finding seed potato, organic seed potato if you can, and going that route. Part of the reason why I have become such a big fan of Wood Prairie Family Farms, way up in Maine, they sell a tremendous variety of potatoes, and you can buy them in bags as small as 1 pound. And, you know, are you gonna pay $10 or $12 or $14 for? Yeah, probably so. I think the results are worth it. If you're on a tight budget, if you're really trying to be frugal, and then go to the store and get a bag of organic potatoes and get them to sprout and put them in the garden, and you'll get some potatoes. I'm confident you will. But if you want different varieties to see maybe what grows best in your area, I would tell you to look for an organic seed supplier, an organic seed potato supplier. And Wood Prairie Family Farms isn't the only one out there. I just had real good experiences with them this year. Very friendly, very knowledgeable, very responsive to questions. Not that my endorsement means much of anything, but I will certainly use them again moving forward. This wraps up my potatoes for the spring, and now it's time to get some things cleaned up and get the next round of crops going. Always something to do in the garden. Again, thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this, if you want to see any more of the content that I share, again, I don't claim to be an expert. I'm just a backyard gardener who's been doing it for a few years. I'm not afraid to put what I do on a video and throw it out there for the world to see, and maybe you see me doing something right. Maybe you notice me doing something that you would do differently, or that maybe is completely wrong. That's okay. It's a learning process. My ultimate goal in particular is to convince new gardeners to try to produce more of their own food. And even if you have very, very limited space, you can use a 5-gallon bucket. You can use one of the totes that I use. You can use, you know, a cardboard box. Put some soil in it. Put some potatoes that you've sprouted in there, and you'll grow food. It's really incredible. It's not that hard. You just have to try it. And once you get a season or two under your belt, you'll develop more confidence. You'll become willing to try other things, and who knows where it'll lead you. All right, potatoes are a great crop to start with. Most people like potatoes. They're relatively low maintenance once you get them started. They do grow in small containers. Bigger containers typically yield bigger potatoes, but nonetheless, you can still grow decent potatoes even in pretty small containers. So by all means, I would be thrilled to death if you would consider subscribing. I hope you liked the video. I hope I didn't make it too long. And if you really do want to follow along with the things that I do, hit the notification button and get notified every time I put something new out there for YouTube land or YouTube world to watch. All right, y'all have a great weekend. I'm gonna get these weighed up, and my guess, looking at it here, I'm guessing I've got maybe 25 pounds. I don't know, somewhere between 25 and 30 pounds is what I'm guessing. So we'll see. We'll see if I'm on the money or way off target. All right, thanks. 1614 for the Baltic Rose. These are the Baltic, nope, sorry, these are the Caribe, 10.46. Here are the Corolla, 13.08, sorry. Realized I had forgotten to show you the Yukon Gold, 16.26.